Welcome to your daily discussion with Dena. I invite you to join me right here daily. Now, the topic for today, let's start a Stop the Insanity campaign. We are currently living in what some would consider to be a very confusing time in our existence. That is especially true here in America. It is a time in which what we know to be actual and factual, which means that it is true, it is real without falsehood, and is undeniable, has become a hindrance. It is a non-factor to some, so they just throw out what is. Reality is being tampered with. It is a time of purposeful confusion that is leading to the need for mental health treatment more than ever, and that's why we hear constantly that it's a mental health crisis. But is it a crisis that we are contributing to? Sometimes we must step back and look and observe and just say it is time to stop the insanity by bringing back truth and speaking truth. As it is today, we are all expected and required to completely ignore truth, what is actual and factual, and undeniable for the sake of sparing a few that are in denial of truth because of their personal feelings, their beliefs, their views, or their mental instability. So legally, we must now pretend or ignore what is to go along with the charade and graciously bow to illusion and begin the process of teaching the next generations to accept falsehood, illusions, and ignore what is actually reality. This is a very dangerous stance for humanity and society as a whole. And why resist taking part in the decline of sanity in these United States? At some point, we have to stop the insanity. There has to be a resistance to this nonsense. There are rules, laws, and even special policies that have been and are being constructed and put in place, protecting the right of those whom are illusionists to imitate their fantasy and force make-believe archetypes onto the masses, which will and can lead eventually to the breakdown of any so-called civilized society, because truth is ever present, even when it is omitted, clouded, disoriented, and dressed up in falsehood. At some point it will be revealed, or it will reveal itself. So it is not wrong if someone today is questioning civility, questioning common sense, and even questioning the authors of such laws and practices and policies that are being put in place today. I mean, for what? What purpose does it serve to destroy your mind for a few that choose not to accept themselves or their own as they are, as they were born? Whether you claim to practice or believe in religion or not, there's no way that anyone can deny the obvious intrusion of conflict or confusion purposely injected into and upon the minds of everyone in this society. It's an attempt. And if you look at some of the youth behavior, it is evident today that it is affecting them. That's why we keep hearing mental crisis. I have a little boy, my little man, and each and every day he comes to me and he is a different superhero. So I greet him with a kiss and I say, "Hey, new boy." And he quickly corrects me and tells me, "Mama, I am Spider-Man. Call me Miles Morales." I said, "Okay, Miles. All right, Spidey." Yesterday he was Black Panther, and the day before he was Iron Man. He's been Wolverine, Batman, and before that he is Power Rangers, so, or something like that, because I swear all of the costumes are beginning to look just alike to me. Sometimes he calls himself Sonic the Hedgehog. So I simply wait for him to tell me who he is pretending to be each day. Some days he ditched the costumes completely, but I understand and I make sure that he understands this is pretend. And I have to say this because it is necessary to remind him from time to time that it is not reality. Those are just things or people or characters he's pretending to be. None of it is real. It is mere make-believe, and I remind him he is a wonderful little boy, so he won't get confused and get in the public's buggy and do a Spidey backflip that lands him on his head and cause us to take a trip to the emergency room. It is mere pretend. However, it seems today everyone wants to wear their costume 24/7, and we are supposed to forget that it is still mere imitation or impersonation. And this is true when it comes to men that are impersonating women. And if you choose to do so, that is strictly your choice, and it is completely your prerogative to do so as an adult human being. However, the difficulty arises from the expectation of everyone else around you to participate in your conformity to what you deem as acceptable for you under the circumstances. So to try and force acceptance of one's concept or illusion into their own personal lives by unwitting children and anyone else that may be in disagreement with this perspective is problematic, especially when the legal system tries to impose punishment and causes others to not respond simply because they don't want to be deemed transphobic or being hateful or inconsiderate, or some things is just complete nonsense, or it is unacceptable for some. So people should not have to fear losing their careers or homes or businesses because they are being truthful about what is natural. And this happens all the time to anyone that may publicly disagree or respectfully disagree with others about this illusionist idea or issue. And when a man clearly choosing to mimic a female woman by wearing wigs or weaves, undergoing surgery, or simply putting on a dress and makeup, boldly declares that a woman does not own womanhood, it is then necessary to speak up and speak out, to strike a chord by reminding those people that they are still biologically men and could not by themselves, without the help of an actual female, recreate themselves without the help of a woman. That means that a genetically altered man made to resemble a female that is given hormones to appear as a woman, nor a male dressed in women attire has the qualifications to declare themselves more woman than an actual female woman. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Imagine me declaring myself to be a policeman or a doctor simply because I feel I can be a good police officer. I can put on a uniform and I can look good in that uniform. I have learned the lingo that cops speak, and I have the ability to arrest people. I'm good at that. Or perhaps I'll be a doctor. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to go put on the attire. I'm going into a hospital, and I am going to treat people because I like treating people. I look good in the uniform, and I can do the work. I'll do some surgery. Now, if I was to do that and anyone else would go and do this, they would immediately be arrested and told that they were committing fraud. Why? For impersonating an officer of the law or impersonating a doctor. However, the same rule just does not apply when it comes to identity theft of women by those who are not women. Even though we know the male bodies are simply not built to carry another human being within it, you just cannot sustain the life of another human inside of you for 9 months because it's just not set up that way. You cannot nourish and sustain another human being within you. You don't have a womb, you don't have a birth canal, and or a vagina for which life enters the planet. Every person, be it male or female, you had to come on this earth through a natural born woman. Now, in order to bring forth life, there must be a uterus. And it has to clean itself monthly. That lining is what we call the period. So you don't have that if you are a male. Only a woman has that ability. Not a person that thinks he is a woman or dresses up like one. It has to be a natural born human being, female woman. And that's not hate in any form. It's not transphobia. It is just undeniable factual truth. No matter how feminine a man considers himself, trans man, trans woman, excuse me, I don't know the terminology, but no matter how he feels about this, it's just impossible to suggest that a man imitating a woman can be more woman or claim womanhood. So a woman really does not have to claim it or even declare it because she embodies it. Nature already did it for her, like it or not. And this is why it's best we stay in our own lanes and respect nature. That XX and XY chromosome, they have already been decided for us before we're even born onto the earth. No matter how we try to convince ourselves otherwise. And some people are even teaching this idea to the next generation or the youth, and this is helping with the insanity. There are two necessary and specific species that are needed to procreate, and that is the male and the female. And they simply cannot be one and the same when it comes to human beings reproducing other humans. It's just a given. And this is why the video posted to TikTok by the trans person is problematic. Let's take a listen to that.
This is what I mean when the transphobia just comes out. The audacity and just the arrogance for cis women to believe that they own periods, that they own womanhood. You don't. Okay, you don't own periods. You don't own womanhood. You experience both, and both are different for every person. But as a cis woman, it doesn't belong to you, so you can't gatekeep it. Like, hello?
I have no idea what a cis is, or why he felt comfortable calling women anything other than what they are. Women, ladies. Not sure if it's disrespect or resentfulness that I hear. Maybe both. But either way, it's completely nonsense to refer to us as anything other than a woman and to assume that we can't claim womanhood or claim or be the gatekeeper for womanhood. Yeah, we can, because we are women. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But it feels like an attempt to misappropriate and steal women's identity for themselves by some of them. Not all, but some, because there are trans people who do not take this approach. In this case, this particular one does. But Jess Hilarious had a response to this, and here is what she said.
Who the fuck is gonna stand up for us? Who the fuck stands up for us? And us I mean women, real women, biological women, women who were born with all the parts that you guys wish that you were. When does the delusion stop? What is the difference between you and someone who has been diagnosed to be mentally insane? What's the only difference is you don't have a straitjacket on. Stop talking out your fucking ass. Wake up. How are you projecting your anger on real women? Because we are the gatekeepers. We are the gatekeepers for periods. We the only one that fucking bleed, honey. We the only ones that can give birth. We make y'all people. We make y'all. Y'all come from us. You can't be us. You will never. You're chasing something you'll never ever get. You'll never be that.
So, did she lie? Now people are saying cancel Jess. Cancel Jess hilarious. For what? For telling the truth? I am certainly not canceling Jess hilarious. You may not like how she said what it is that she said, but I saw nothing untrue or false in her response. It's so disappointing to see all of the negativity toward Jess for speaking the truth. It was the truth. All of the biases and responses against her for expressing her view, just as the trans person did. We cannot allow ourselves to be simply, it feels like bullying and under the threat of being counseled or losing your jobs and your opportunities because you have a voice and an opinion and you want to speak truth. It is difficult for many to comprehend, but Jess has a right, just like any other woman, to respond to a non-woman who speaks this kind of rhetoric. Why must we cater to those who choose an alternative reality? If confusion is what one chooses, that is okay, but it's certainly not acceptable to expect and try to maim those who choose not to be a part of that play acting or fantasy world that is being created right before our eyes when it comes to the reality of what is male and what is female, because it's all a game. And truthfully, there is a reproductive, emotional, hormonal, and physical difference between the male and the female species. Why are we denying that fact? It is simply insane to try and ignore and remove this from the equation. I'm going to share this next video, which is another example of which I speak. Take a listen to this video. It was so funny to me. Listen to this.
Appointment because I need to be checked. You know, I mean, they got to use a fucking speculum. They've got to take a sample, that type of thing. Check for tears, blah blah blah. Right? I mean, makes sense. And so, what they had said to me is like, well, we don't do that here. And I'm like, but you're a gynecologist office. Why wouldn't you? Well, we don't treat trans patients, so you're discriminating against me, is what you're telling me. You know, my female doctor in Toronto would have taken you in a heartbeat. Damn. Yeah, it's fucking bull. I am pretty fucking pissed. You know, it's so hard to find a fucking, like, a gynecologist that can, like, even work with me. You know, and I don't understand it. So,
we just gotta stop the insanity. Stop the insanity. Megan had a response to this, and it was one that I also agree with. Here's her response.
Blood boil that Kristen claims to have a gynecologist. I really, like, it's making my blood boil, and I'm having like a real reaction to it in a way I actually didn't expect, and I'm thinking it through live. And part of it is, I just actually went to the gynecologist. Actual women have to go to the gynecologist once a year. When you just delivered a baby, you spend your life in with your gynecologist, your OBGYN. And it's never particularly pleasant to go see the gynecologist. The exam doesn't feel particularly good. The pap smear is very uncomfortable. No one looks forward to that. We actually have things we need to worry about, like ovarian cancer or other kinds of cancers that you can get in the OB field. You have to get a breast exam. You're constantly worrying whether they're going to find a lump and how that could go. There are things that are particular to that exam and that relationship that no man is ever going to have. All right? So that guy doesn't have a gynecologist. That guy has a hole that a surgeon created at best. I'm sorry. It's like infuriating to me because there are things that make women special. And there are things that we've overcome and that we must overcome as women in order to thrive in this life, whether it's the threat of sexual violence or, being attacked as we walk home from college bars to our dorms, or the fears that you have when you go to the gynecologist or when you are pregnant with a baby. All those things, they're baked in, and it's part of what makes women so incredible and strong. And you can't just become one and take all of our things because you did or did not have a surgery or you put on a dress. It doesn't work like that.
If it wasn't so concerning or detrimental, it would be very hilarious because it's a fantasy world of sorts from someone's mind, someone's practices, beliefs, and ideology that has decided its time has come and it wants to intrude on your reality. It may have started with an individual or some individual's personal desires, but it has quickly evolved into an agenda that is confusing and invading the headspace of many, causing a mental crisis, causing one to question what they know to be true. Up is now down, good is now bad, and what you know to be truth, actual and factual, is being nullified by a small group of individuals that desire acceptance of their choices and lifestyles. Now tell me what you think about this topic. Subscribe and leave your comment, and I will see you next time for a daily discussion with Dena. Ta-ta!
This concludes your daily discussions with Dena. Join us Monday through Friday at 12:30 p.m. Like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment.